You think you know me. Screams of terror in the movies. Warning signs on the beaches. Your instincts telling you to run. You don't know me, but you will. And what you find will thrill you. We'll get close enough to see my massive jaws open as I see your jaws drop. Unfollow your instincts and run to see me. Only at the all-new Georgia Aquarium. Get your tickets today.
Good Monday evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Safety Stop. Don't know exactly what JoJo's doing over there.
Me? I'm reading about Bon Air.
Well, you know, you had the book right up, and it just looked like you was very engaged in what you were reading.
Well, I'm getting ready to leave here shortly. I better be ready.
Yeah, well, only what, 2 weeks left?
2 weeks to go, yeah.
2
So we're
weeks and
excited.
counting.
Yeah, just had our group dive trip briefing and, getting everything ready to pack the bag and enjoy some warm weather, warm water.
Well, you know, that's awfully nice, you know, especially since we had a 70-degree day last week. You know, it's like, oh, are we almost here? Are we almost there? And then, yeah, swack. Nope, you're
Yeah.
not.
Getting out of the pool and leaving Sunday afternoon was a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's hey, it's still winter. It's February. I mean, you know, we just get teased with nice days every once in a while, and you know,
Yeah.
I mean, what can we
It'll
do
be
about
here
it?
shortly.
Oh
We don't
yeah,
got much more. We got this week left of February, and we're into March.
we are. Yeah, and we have exactly 46 days left until opening season. 46 days
We're
and
getting
12
closer to that
hours.
1 month mark.
We are. Yeah. Give it another 16 days and it'll be 1 month till opening. And, you know, hopefully we'll have a little bit warmer spring. I'm hoping for it. Let the water warm up a little faster, and so
And
yeah.
not add 20 inches of water table to the park.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's not a repeat of last year. The one weekend we had, what was it, 15 inches of rain, like the week before opening weekend.
Yeah,
And
and we had
yeah,
to delay opening weekend
we had to
because of
delay it.
the
Yeah.
couldn't even get to the park.
Well, you could get there. You just couldn't get to the pavilions without
No,
getting
they had
water.
Parkway shut down that one day.
Well, yeah, they did. Yeah, they had the parkway shut down. But they had backways in, if you know the backways.
Yeah, I knew the back way. The bridge was about flooded out.
Yeah, well, divers will do anything. If there's a flooded road, we'll take another road to get around to go diving.
It was definitely some dedication watching getting through that wet spell last year.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we're not as wet this year because that we were inundated with it last year. So, but we will see. We will see. So 2 weeks until Bon Air. Jojo, I know you're excited about that. Lots of great dive sites in Bon Air, and I know you're going to be hitting several of them.
Yeah, I can't hit them all, but honestly, I got a schedule put out, and if everybody's up board, we'll be hitting anywhere from 3 to 4 dive sites a day.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like Emily has joined us, and Mr. Todd Ransford has joined us. Good evening. Yeah, I mean, dive season is gearing up. It's the time's ticking. It's getting closer. If you haven't had an opportunity to get your gear in and get it serviced, highly, highly, highly recommend getting your equipment into your local dive shop, getting it serviced, getting it ready, and being ready for the season. Nothing worse than having to take your gear in and try to get it just before the season opens, and now there's a backlog. You're going to have to wait 3 or 4 weeks because everybody else is doing the same thing. So, you know.
We're getting to where you're supposed to be diving and realize your gear's not working.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example, right, Joe?
Right.
So I'm going to let you tell this story because let me just set the stage. JoJo leaves in 2 weeks for Bon Air, so he hasn't had a chance to get his gear in the water to test dive it to make sure everything's good to go until this weekend when we were in the pool. So Joe, I'll let you kind of explain the importance of making sure your equipment's serviced and ready to go before that big bucket list dive trip.
Yeah, so it's been since October since we went diving, and my gear is sat around all
Yeah.
winter, not being used. Yeah, and
But it
then
worked
apparently
fine.
we decided
Hey, it worked fine the last time you dove, right?
it worked fine the last time, no
There you go.
problem.
Okay.
Yeah, why worry about it, right?
That's right. It worked last time.
So, of course, if you weren't following us before, we had our try scubas this weekend, and lo and behold, I'm pretty much running that up and go to assemble the gear and turn it on, and well, there's air coming out of my first stage from everywhere. So I was like, "Ooh, this is a problem. I can't use this regulator now."
So let me ask a question here because there was a high pressure port unplugged. So
There was.
so did you do that day, or did you have a transmitter plugged in you forgot to put back in, or what?
So my transmitter is actually on my side mount gear, and I didn't put the plug in. So
Okay.
that was one problem. I didn't check my gear. I just jumped in, and
But it worked last
that was
time.
huh?
It worked last time you dove it.
Well, yeah, I had the transmitter in it. uh, but we did get that plug. But even getting that plug, we realized that there was a bigger issue, and air was coming out of the vents on the first stage where it shouldn't have been. Luckily, I was able to get to the shop that night and just realized that the yoke bolt just come loose and just needed to be tightened down. And I mean, it came up, two bolts of it came so loose that two of the O rings popped out. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
so
hey,
that's if your equipment's been setting over the winter time, again, another important reason why, because you never know. I mean, it worked perfect the last time you dove in October. No
yep,
issues with it, and you've put it up. So if you're getting ready to go on a bucket list trip or any kind of dive vacation, and you're taking your gear, it's always a good idea to get it in the water, give it a test run, make sure everything's good, give yourself time to get it fixed. Luckily enough, you had time to fix yours. Now it's ready to ready to go to Bonaire.
it is ready to go to Bonaire. So, problem solved before I even got there. That's
Yeah.
just I had the opportunity to try it before we left.
Oh yeah.
It would
So
have been a bad day to get to a checkout dive and realize that my gear ain't working.
oh yeah, and especially if you don't have a spare, now you're having to rent one, and I don't know about you. I mean, I don't here in the states. I don't mind if something happens. I don't mind to rent one because most operations take really good care of their rental equipment. When you get out of the country, you're getting like a 50-50 chance, depending on the operator, if they actually service their equipment or they just use it until they can't fix it anymore and then, throw it away and find something else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I doubt there's people coming by their shops going, have you done your yearly inspections?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's again, that's the reason I travel with two regulator sets. If I have an issue with one, at least I've got a backup. And then, that night, I can go in and, fix whatever the problem is. Because I usually take spare parts with me for my regulator just in case something was to happen. If I need it, boom, it's there. I may be out of service for a dive or two, depending on, but at least I've got a backup that will get me through until after the dives where I can actually sit down and fix the problem. But if you've got it all your equipment serviced and you've test dove it, you're ready to rock and roll. I mean, it makes the travel even better because you're diving your own equipment.
Yeah. Now I'm going to take my daughter's regulator just for a backup, just in case. Who knows? I might need it. Somebody else might need it.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah. It never
it,
hurts to have a backup.
throw some extra O rings in my dive, my save a dive kit. Got my dive tool ready. A couple extra zip ties because you never know. Zip ties are really helpful when something breaks apart and you need to put it back together in a pinch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I think
So you got
yeah,
all your gear checked out, ready to rock and roll. Working on packing your equipment. You was looking at a book when we come on.
yeah.
I noticed it
So
said Bonaire, so
actually, this is a travel map with all the dive sites. Picking the truck to help navigate. So I got a new book and just information's good to have. A little
oh yeah,
piece here or there can lead you to a great
yeah.
eating spot or the next
Well,
next dive site.
I mean, especially if you've never been to a place, maps and information before you go is a great idea. Any destination, if you've never been there, you can kind of see where you're going to be staying, where you're going to be diving, some of the different dive sites in that area. It makes it a whole lot better, and you can get some online reviews. Different places. Like when we go to Roatan, South Side. One of the most famous places of diving on the South Side is Mary's Place. Everybody knows. You hear Roatan, Mary's Place. Calvin's Crack, Dolphin's Den. The El Aguila wreck, the Odyssey wreck, the Prince Albert. These are all widely known dive sites of Roatan, just like the Helma Hooker, the Salt Pier, Front Porch, you know,
Thousand Steps.
Thousand Steps, Red Slave, White Slave. You hear sites like that. I mean, that's some of Bonair's more popular sites. And of course, it's not just the popular ones. It's, some of the less talked about ones that, not a lot of people go to that can usually turn out being, sometimes some of the better sites that you'll see.
Oh yeah, I've ran
Not
across
always.
videos where they'll give you directions to a dive unmarked dive site that unless you just pull off the side of the road and go diving there, you're missing a whole nother opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been about 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, when we took that trip to Key Largo. And of course, you remember trying to get dives in was crazy because of the rough seas. The seas are too rough. We're not going out. We were literally hunting places to go diving. I think what was it? 3 days. We out of 7 days, we got 3 days on the boat, and then we dove um, the undersea lodge. But there was like 3 or 4 days we didn't get to dive.
No, it was literally looking for something to do because we couldn't dive.
Yeah. Well, and we had heard from some of the locals, and I'm not even exaggerating. I read an article about this place the other day.
I looked it up.
Did you? Yeah. So there is off of what is it, 7 Mile Bridge? There is a former limestone quarry where they quarried the rock to build the 7 Mile Bridge. It's not like widely known. The locals know about it. There's not a lot there. But when they finished with it, they opened the backside to the Gulf and the Gulf side. And so it's actually, what'd they say, like 45, 50 foot deep?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And the edge is pretty much covered in coral and marine growth, but
Yeah.
there's nothing really in the middle of it other than dirt.
Yeah, well, it's more coral, rock, whatever. We never did dive it, but we know where it's at, and that was kind of if we can't get on a boat tomorrow, we're coming here and going diving. We
Yeah,
literally we physically went there. There's a
looked
couple
at it.
people diving, but the walls of it helped protect it from the surf and surge, so you had a nice calm area that you could really go diving in. So, and it's things like that, those little unknown places that only the locals know about, that can give you an opportunity to see some pretty cool stuff. Rumor had it there's an ambulance down in there. Now,
That's the rumor.
we didn't get to dive it, so we can't confirm that, but
Well, yeah, no, little stuff like that's cool.
oh yeah, off the beaten path, a little, the places that aren't dived often typically have the better marine life, the more vibrant marine life, because it's not always inundated with divers. So,
Anyway,
and
we had a
speaking,
fun weekend this week, didn't we?
we did. And speaking of Key Largo, when we went to Key Largo, I showed JoJo this. I believe it was yesterday. There's actually a film being produced right now as a movie about adaptive diving,
Hmm.
which I thought was really cool because there's not a lot of light on divers with disabilities.
No, and that's a really good topic to get into.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Just because something happens or a life changing event of some sort doesn't mean you have to give up a diving career. Or
No,
I mean,
well, I'll tell
even if
you.
you wanted to start one, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the most interesting, and of course, adaptive diving has been around for a little while. Not necessarily, it's newer in the recreational realm. Because, and when I say newer, I mean within the last 10 years, they've developed the program Adaptive Diver, for those with disabilities. But before then, we were working with Fort Campbell years ago with some of the wounded soldiers who had come back, that was either paralyzed or, they were injured in combat. And as a way to help rehab, they developed the Underwater Warriors program there at Fort Campbell. And I'll never forget it. There was a young man in that program. Trying to remember his name. I know it as well as I know my own. But he was a regular, but he was a paraplegic. He was injured in combat, and he had lost all mobility from the waist down. Of course, you can't kick that way. So they had created or come up with webbed gloves and was able to modify the open water program to make it to where he could actually perform the safety skills. And they done this with several divers, but it was really interesting to see the way they adapted it. And I was really glad to see that the training agencies started getting behind this because, again, like you said, it may be something from an injury, an accident, whatever. That shouldn't keep people from enjoying the underwater world, if they can.
No, actually, my checkout dive had a paraplegic diver on it.
Hmm.
He wasn't with our group; he was just diving, and he had the web gloves, and
Yes.
he dove just like the rest of us,
Hmm.
no problem. You know, there was some special techniques he had to use to get in and out of the boat, but he got it done.
Yeah. Well, and that's one
So,
thing that I tell folks. It doesn't matter, if you're an adaptive diver or a regular diver. The training agencies do not say you have to do this skill this way. They give you leadway. You have to perform this skill with mastery. Doesn't say how you have to perform it, but you have to be able to, remove your regulator and retrieve it and clear it. Doesn't say how you have to do it. Now, SSI recommends the two ways they recommend the sweep and the reach method. But, like Patty, you just got to be able to retrieve it and, put it back in and clear it.
well,
So,
that could be as simple as a necklace. Making sure
exactly.
that
Yeah, you
right
just got to
heart.
be able, yeah.
I get it.
Oh, yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. It'll definitely shed light on adaptive diving, and hopefully will bring more people into it. Who may not think they may have a lifelong dream of being able to dive on the reefs and stuff like that, but because of disability, they may not think they're able to. So this is actually giving a pathway to that will allow them to do that.
Well,
The,
I mean, we love to play with DPV,
oh yeah,
but that right there can really change,
yes,
how you dive. You don't even have to swim anymore.
yeah.
And they're so small, you can take them on a plane and travel with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're DPVs are awesome. The name of the film is called Sharing Air, which I think is a pretty cool name. They have partnered with Rainbow Reef. It's a partnership between Rainbow Reef and Dive Heart, which most
Rainbow Reef,
everybody's heard of Dive Heart.
Rainbow Reef, as in Fort Lauderdale, or
Yes, no, Key Largo.
Key Largo.
Yeah, Key Largo. That's what I was talking about. Talking about the Keys was what kind of made me think about this. Yeah, so I'm interested to see. They've got a poster out of it. I'm sitting here looking at it now. And it's pretty cool. I wished I could get it over on the screen so I could display it. But it's called "Life is Hard. Together We Can Do Great Things." So let's see. Looks like they're filming March of 26. It doesn't say when it's going to be out. It is based on a book, so based on a book by Jim Elliott. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
There's so much to be done. What you know? Say your right arm was amputated. Why would that keep you from diving? Because you couldn't retrieve the regulator because it's on the right side. Who says it needs to be on the right side? You know,
Yeah,
and on the left side.
yeah. I
No, you
mean,
just have to.
yeah. I mean, most people think that because the regulator, everybody dives regulator on the right side, and so that's just the way people think. Oh, well, my regulator has to be on the right side. That's typically the way it's set up.
Typically,
Yeah,
but when we start diving, how often do we really start changing the way we dive? You dive exactly as you were taught in class from 20 years ago. I don't dive that same way. I don't do it right towards the book. I got my little pet peeves and techniques I use to make things easier.
yeah. I mean, that's something that you learn though over time, especially equipment configuration. You work with what you dive how you feel more comfortable. If you feel comfortable, you know, with your gauges all tucked in and you don't have danglies, quote danglies, then if that's the way you're comfortable, but you just have to be a little bit more mentally aware, especially when you're diving on reefs. So you're not dragging those. It's a good idea to have them in close, but as far as as far as that goes, what are you comfortable with? Some people are comfortable with a back inflate BC, you know. So it's all in personal preference and comfort. What are you most comfortable in?
It's just I find diving to be we teach it. You gotta do it this way, but in all honesty, we can skin the same cat a million different ways.
Oh yeah, well, from a teaching standpoint, if you've got all of your students in the same type of equipment, and you show them how to use this equipment. Like you said, there's several different configurations, and instructors, dive shops can teach their programs, the way they have their gear configured. That's the way everybody does it. But there's so many different configurations. If you go from one class, one open water class to another open water class to another open water class, you're probably going to see three different types of setups. We teach the Octo. There's shops that teach the Air 2. So different configurations.
Yeah, all accomplish the same goals.
Exactly. You
Oh,
just have
what if you had somebody that had epilepsy? Isn't that kind of a risk?
it is.
Yeah. What would you think would be one way they could put some safety factor in that?
I know. I know the answer, right? I mean, without before you even had the question out, I knew you was going to ask that, and I know the answer.
Yeah. Full face mask.
Yes.
So if something was and you're going to a seizure, you're not going to lose the regulator. It's already attached to you. You are not going to lose it.
Yeah. Now, if you're not certified, and unfortunately, if you have history of seizures, I don't know that there's going to be a doctor that's going to sign off on it, though.
Probably not.
That's and of course, again, that falls back. If you have medical history, the medical form, and it indicates, then you have to have a physician to sign off on it. If the doctor says, no, I don't think you should do this because of the risk, the doctor may not be informed on diving. So, they may not have any idea about full face. They're just thinking, okay, if he or she has a seizure underwater, then they're going to drown.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking. Um, you know, so what's the safest bet for them? You're not able to dive.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's where information, like the movies and stuff you're talking about, are
Yeah.
going to be key to that. Say, oh, I thought this was a brick wall my whole life, and I'm finding out that it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's and of course back to the adaptive part of it. If someone has an accident or an injury that results in like seizure activity and stuff, um, you know, if they, I'm not going to say that they need to continue to dive, but that would be a question for Dan. You know, for them to call Dan up and hey, can I continue diving if I'm diving full face because again with a full face, you're exactly right. You're encapsulated. So if you do have a seizure, you don't have that worry. The regulator's not going to come out of your mouth. You've got other things to worry about, but not having air is not one of them.
Not
So
having air. But one thing we haven't talked about either, though, is you also got to have the right dive buddy.
yes,
And that's a big part of adaptive diving. Is you got to have a good dive buddy that knows what you need and how your diving technique is to
well, and
assist.
that's something that the training agencies have done in this adaptive diver or in their adaptive diving programs is they have a program that teaches divers how to dive with an adaptive diver, which I think is awesome because if you are certified as an adaptive diver, and I forget the exact name of it, but like a adaptive diver buddy or adaptive dive buddy, whatever they call it, it teaches you how to dive with and assist your adaptive dive buddy who is an adaptive diver, which I think's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. Excuse me.
You know,
The
and
burpees.
huh?
So I'm getting the burpees.
The bird.
Uh,
Yeah. But that's something that a lot of people don't talk about is, the adaptive programs. And, I think it's a great idea, to bring adaptive diving to light because there's several people out there like, that have the dream of being a diver, but because of whatever disability, they may think they may not have the chance. And I mean, there's a possibility that they may not be able to, but at least this gives the option, to explore to see if they qualify to be an adaptive diver.
mhm.
You
I
know,
mean, things might be limited, but I mean, this weekend goes to show you that the door's not closed.
no,
There's possibilities out there. And to, this weekend was a perfect example because we had a one that needed help, and well, we've opened the doors. That you can enjoy this in the pool.
mm-hmm,
There's people here that can help you. You can dive.
yep,
So, yeah,
yeah. It is possible, depending on the circumstances, it is possible. Um, and I will say, not always, not all cases are going to be possible, but there's probably a lot out there that think they can't do it because of whatever challenges they face. But do some research. Make sure before you give up on that dream because it may be possible to be certified as an adaptive diver. And DiveHeart's got some great information. They've got a website, diveheart.org, I believe is what it is. Um, and I mean, I think there's one out of St. Louis, Life Waters, is another program that does like adaptive diving. So, they're out there.
great programs. Glad they're around. Keep the diving dream alive. I don't know where I would be if I had to stop diving.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I dread the day that I have to give it up. I'm hoping that's several years in the future, but you never know. I mean, you really never know, and enjoy every dive. It doesn't matter if it's a great dive or it's a crap dive. Find something to enjoy it because you get to enjoy diving.
Oh, what do they say? Every bad is better than any good day at work.
Yeah, oh yeah. Even the worst dive is better than the best day at work. That is too true. Well, and talking about the adaptive program, something else that is new. I say new in the industry. I mean, it's been talked about, you know, several years. Is training agencies. That's always a fun conversation. You've got folks who are diehard Patty and diehard SSI, diehard SDI, diehard, Nowie, diehard, all the, they're just diehard that one specific brand. And I think there was a study done on the newer generation, like the generation that's coming up now, is they're not looking at training agencies. They're looking at how to get certified. How do I get my scuba certification? You know,
What does that have to do with an agency other than your dive location is affiliated with one?
yeah. I mean, I've said this for years. You know, training agencies sell book. They develop the programs for instructors to teach. That's what training agencies do. That's their bread and butter. And it's the agents, or it's the dive professionals, it's the instructors, the assistant instructors, the dive masters that are the faces or the representatives of the agencies that they're teaching the materials. Whether it is a patty shop, an SSI shop, Nowie shop, whatever. you know if you go and you look at the RSTC standards and then you pull up any of the other training agency standards, you're going to see a whole lot of similarities.
Well, I know when y'all went did the crossover for the one, uh, uh
The one that
Patty,
we will not speak of.
uh, what was the difference? And we really turned out of this like a couple vocabulary words you had to use in place of each other. It's like, really? That's the difference.
Well, and I will say this, I think the world of him. He is such a great guy. He's a great inspiration. He's viewed on here. He's watched the show several times. Matter of fact, in the early days, he actually came on and talked about, the Patty process with me, and that's John Land. And I haven't seen him on. He doesn't get on here very often, especially since we switched to YouTube. But he is a source of knowledge. But he's a Patty examiner. And I don't hold that against him. John's the one who done our crossover. But
Patty has to have examiners.
yeah,
SSI has to
but
have examiners.
yeah, but I remember exactly what he said the first day that we sat in class for that crossover. And if any Patty rep tells you they don't have a crossover, I'm here to tell you they are FOS. And if you don't know what that means, you can look it up.
Google it.
So, exactly. I had a rep tell me, 3 years ago that, because I was wanting to send a couple of our instructors to a crossover so that we would be able to teach more Patty courses. And I was told literally by a Patty rep that, oh, well, we don't do crossovers. And of course, me being someone who had been involved with one, I'm like, oh, but wait, yes, you do. It's called a DSO, dive shop orientation. If someone is crossing over from another agency to Patty, they do a dive shop orientation where they send an examiner like John to the shop. Now it's for that shop, but if anybody else around wants to get in on it, they can get an invite from that shop to attend. Now they have to be invited. It's not something that's open. And we done it with ours in 2015. So they do have it. It's just a matter, do they want you to participate? In our case, this wonderful little lady Patty Rep. Oh well, we don't have one scheduled. We don't have one close to you. 3 weeks later, they did, and she was there. She knew it. You know, just saying, that's not a very good look on a brand when your reps are outlined to dive shops. So I'm sorry. That's my rant. That's where the
You want
fire
your name
started.
out there. You want your name ran. I mean, they say bad news is good news when you talk about news.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and
I mean,
again, as far as the program, like to your original question, um, John told us that first day. I don't think I got to this. John told us that first day, I'm not here to teach you how to teach. You're instructors. You know how to teach. I'm here to teach you the Patty way. That was his exact words. And that's what he did. He didn't try to reteach the instructors. He was teaching us, how the processes, which is that should be done. Any agency, if you are an instructor or a dive professional and you're crossing over, you really need to know the processes, the policies for that agency for their programs. So,
I see that. I see
yeah.
that. It's like when you change your job, you got to learn how they operate. Even though
Oh,
you
yeah.
might be in accounting for 20 years, every company is going to do it different. So,
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So yes, there's a need. Do I think the training organizations need to work together? Yes, I really do. I believe the dive industry would be better. If they did work together to help solve problems in the industry, to mitigate risk in the industry. We're better together. The dive industry is small. A lot of people don't realize. Yeah, there's a lot of divers in the world, but the dive industry as a whole is very small.
I get it. Look how many people we got around here that can actually, are in the dive industry. How many we got in the state of Kentucky alone? Two?
What's
Three?
that?
No, dive industry wise.
I think in Kentucky, the last count I had, I think was 5 dive shops in the
Five
whole
shops.
state.
5 shops or facilities of some sort. I know
Yeah,
Tennessee's a little bit
6.
more. They got more. They got more dive sites, especially in eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you
So,
can go to some states and there's maybe one the whole state.
yeah, I mean, especially if you don't have easy water access, there's probably not going to be a lot of dive shops, out in the middle of the desert with no water close by. You're not going to
Yeah,
have 20 dive shops in a 10-mile range like you would in Florida or
yeah. Florida Keys, throw a rock, you'll
Texas.
probably hit a dive shop.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I think that's a lot of where a lot of the statistics come from. Because I've seen things over the years where they talk about the industry is in a decline, and thinking I haven't really seen a decline. I've seen it kind of hold steady, year to year, but I haven't actually seen like a decline. But I'm not in the coastal areas either. You know,
I mean, I can see it. Get all these shops popping up, then one's gobbling the other, and competing for business. And then you get COVID that freaking hit and wiped
yeah,
out the whole travel industry overnight.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, Emily said, speaking of documentaries, I need to get a VPN so I can watch the doc Richard Harris came, I'm assuming, out with. I don't know what she's talking about. Am I having,
I don't know.
yeah. Emily, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Richard Harris. I don't. That name doesn't sound familiar to me. Jojo.
He the one that went to Thailand?
Uh, again, I don't. I don't know.
Yeah, the Australian anesthesiologist in the cave dive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. I know about the story, but I didn't know the name. So okay, I got you. I'm tracking now. So
Yeah.
I don't know why you
So,
need a VPN for it.
well, I know they've been doing a lot of freaking crazy dives over in Australia.
Oh yeah.
They're not diving helium; they're diving hydrogen over there.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah.
it's that's been a story to follow.
Well,
Let's breathe this very very explosive gas.
there you go. Well, and to back to your original question, being dual affiliated, being a PADI instructor, SSI instructor, um, you know, the training is basically identical. PADI calls some skills a different name. They're the same skill. The CISA, the Controlled Emergency Swimming Ascent, is the same thing as our emergency swimming ascent. They're just
And
different
really, that's
names.
as simple as it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's just different. They call them different. Now, I haven't been through the SDI orientation yet, the crossover. We're still trying to get the dates and stuff so that we can get that done. But I'm assuming it's going to be kind of the same way. The skills are, the open water skills are, they are what they are. Agency to agency, they are the exact same. You have to do all three mass skills: partial flood, full flood, remove and replace. You have to do regulator removal and replacement, regulator clearing, weight removal and replacement. The list goes on and on, all the open water skills. PADI and SSI, the exact same skills. The only big difference is the order in which you do them. That's really the only big difference. PADI has a set of skills. They're called flexible skills that you can do during dive 1, 2, 3, or 4. There's some skills that you have to do dive 1 or dive 2 or dive 3, but they have what they call flexible. SSI has it to where dive 1 you do these skills, dive 2 you refresh these skills, now you do these skills. Dive 3 the same way, dive 4 is your emergency skills. So you're doing the exact same skills, you're just not doing them all in the same order depending on the agency.
Do you want first, the apple or the grape?
Do what?
Which do you want first, the apple or the grape?
The cart or the horse?
Yeah.
But no, I
Well,
mean,
that has a particular order. You have to have it into work.
yeah, well, and I'll tell you, in the discussion with the rep when he so kindly told us that he wasn't renewing our PADI membership for the resort this year because of PADI's new policy, exclusivity policy is what I call it. I haven't seen anything official on it, but again, um, you know, the question, oh, man, I hate it when the train just derailed and took a different track. Um, Where was I
We want to
going?
get back into talking about disabilities and
Yeah. My sometimers is kicking in. But no, literally, the explanation that I was given was, people are calling dive shops and asking for PADI classes. I want to get PADI open water certified. And I had to rebuke, you know, my 9 out of 10 people that call us and, are looking for information about getting certified don't say, "Hey, I got questions about, I want to get PADI certified." No, it doesn't happen. 9 out of 10 people say, "I'm interested in getting scuba certified," or "What does it
have my
take for me
license.
to get certified?"
I get my license.
Yeah, and then when okay, well we do SSI yada yada yada. Their next question is typically, well, I'm going to so and so, so and so Tom. Will I be able to? Will it be recognized so I can dive there? Of course, that's what I tell them. It's the three major training agencies in the world: PADI, SSI, and NAUI. If you hold one of those, and SDI is fastly catching up. If you hold one of those four agency certifications, you're going to be able to dive. There are some others that are less known. SEI here in the U.S., IDEA, another small agency that's recognized here in the U.S. I think they're recognized worldwide too. I'm not 100%. But, there's training agencies in Europe that none of us have ever heard of. You know,
Probably a lot more.
I've actually, and being a dive destination, I have actually encountered, we've had divers from Germany, we've had divers from the UK, we've had divers from Israel. And the one that stands out to me the most is the Israeli divers. Because when they came in and they handed their certification card, we was like, what is this? It's like, did you print this in your basement? And, a quick web search and, hey, it's a legit training agency that's based in Israel. It's recognized by the WRSTC. Okay, great. As long as it's recognized, we know what kind of training you had. Here you go. So for every, like I said, there's only a handful of agencies that are going to be on the world stage of diving. PADI, NAUI, SSI, SDI, TDI, INTD, GUE, when you get into the technical stuff. So there's a lot of the smaller agencies that, unless you're in that geographical area, that, nobody's heard of them.
I wonder if you did a quick web search, how many you could actually find.
You actually can. Believe it or not, you actually can. It doesn't list all of them, but you can type in, scuba training agencies around the world. And of course, you're going to get the top: PADI, SSI, NAUI, SDI. But you're going to go through there and you're going to be able to see some of the smaller ones that, there was one, and I'll tell this story here real quick. We got a little bit of time. The gentleman who was with SSI that opened us up as an SSI facility 22 years ago, Watson DeVore, great guy. He was our business consultant with SSI before he moved up to the training director for SSI. After SSI was bought out, he moved on. He's now overseeing an agency called SNSI. I'm not exactly sure. I hadn't heard a whole lot about it. Did do some research. They have like 2 shops in the entire U.S. So it's not a prominent, well-known training agency. So they're out there. There's several agencies. If they're a member of the RSTC, you can almost guarantee that their training agencies reflect what the RSTC has written, and you can actually access the RSTC standards on the RSTC website.
Emily came in here and said it's called Deeper. Is the name of the documentary. It said it hasn't been released in the U.S. yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we just have to wait until it's released in the U.S.
Oh, there was one I was wanting to watch. Ancient Caves, I think it was, but it was only in IMAX, and it never came to an IMAX near me. It was always in the bigger cities.
Oh yeah,
If that
yeah,
comes to Louisville, I want to go, but it never came. I
yeah.
think it might have came to Nashville.
It could have. I mean, there's a lot of some of the specialty, like the documentaries and stuff that do IMAX, and unless you're close to a place that does IMAX, I think Nashville is the closest to us down at Opry Mills, as far as for us. I don't know. Do they have one in Louisville?
They have one at the Children's Museum.
Do they?
Yeah, and they do some good shows there, but I never, it never came to that one. Probably
Yeah.
too small.
Eh, you know, it is what it is. But so yeah, I mean, couple of good topics tonight. Talking about the adaptive diver program, and then of course, I think the thing that caught me on the training agency, that really brought it up, made me ask questions about it was, I think the article was what are dive cent. Hold on, let me find it real quick. Uh,
We're,
because it,
we're really talking about the importance of the dive agency, which really it's the instructors that are making the divers, and
yeah.
they just kind of set the goalpost for us. So,
Let's see. Da, 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 da. Well, I know I just seen it here. Let me get back to it. Oh, here it is. All right. Let me
anyway,
scroll down here. Yeah, the
a lot of
name.
cool stuff going on.
Yeah, the name of the article. Now, I found this on the Scuba News. So it's the scubanews.com. This is not a paid promotion for them. They really keep up with a lot of the information that's coming out, in the dive industry. But the topic of the article, or the title of the article, are dive centers selling themselves or a logo, or the logo. And so by reading it, that was one of the things. It says most new divers aren't asking for agency politics or training standards. They're asking one simple question: can I dive anywhere with this certification? Which makes sense.
That's what I want to know. Do I,
Yeah.
can I go anywhere? Do I gotta stay here? I gotta
Yeah.
dive your rock quarry every time.
Yeah.
I gotta get trained again when I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, if I go to Florida, can I use this? If I go to the Caribbean, can I use this? If I go to Australia, can I use this? Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that you go somewhere they might not require you to do a checkout dive.
Well, that's true. I mean, Bonaire, you guys are having to do an orientation checkout dive.
Do an orientation, yes. They want to know you're going to take care of the reef. How are
Yeah,
they going to do that unless they actually dive with you?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so makes perfect sense. All right, JoJo, it is 3 minutes till 9. Do you have any final thoughts for us for this evening?
Hmm. We need to get through the cold. I'm tired of the cold.
I'm tired of cold.
Nope. Say I'm getting stoked for Bon Air, ready to go. Uh, you know me. I dig in and I dig in deep when I go on trips.
Oh yeah.
Normally, people point at me when you got a question about that place. He probably knows because he's done his homework.
Yeah, and of course, Bonaire here in a couple of weeks. That trip's already closed, but we still have our annual aquarium dive. We played the aquarium clip before we come on.
That's always
Georgia Aquarium, September the 12th. I think there are, let's see, there's 7 spots per time frame. I know there's already a couple of divers signed up on that one. September the 12th. Get with us if you're interested in doing the Georgia Aquarium. Fantastic bucket dive. You get to dive with the whale shark. You get to dive with the big manna. JoJo, when he first seen the big manna flop out of the water, he was like a kid in a candy store. Ooh, you know?
Oh, I still love. I love those things. Absolutely love them. Uh, say
Exactly.
last time I was getting myself in trouble because I wasn't staying with the group.
Yeah. Then of course our annual Roatan trip. It's extended to 2 weeks this year. We're doing. You can do 1 week, the second week, the first week or second week. You can do both weeks, however you want to do it. New dive sites we're going to get to dive while we're there, not just stuck on the north side. Diving some sites on the south side as well. That not a lot of divers go to, so really looking forward to that one. New experiences down in Roatan, and then 2027 we've got the Belize Aggressor trip coming. What is that? March 6th through the 13th.
Yeah, we're getting right down to it being about a year out now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We want
So
to do that one. It is great. It's a nice luxury yacht. A lot of fun. Pretty much, it's eat, sleep, and dive. And it is exactly that. If you ain't sleeping, you're eating. If you ain't eating, you're diving.
exactly. And we've got, you got your booking deposit. We've got payment schedules set up ready for that to make sure you guys don't have to pay it all in one lump sum. So, got that going on. So that's kind of the travel outlook for the next year. But the big thing is getting the season started, getting the warmer weather in, warming up the water, and let's see how big the bass grew over the winter.
Yeah,
I bet them things are.
They're huge already. Even over the 6 months they had to grow, and then they came out of nowhere like,
And
ooh, I can eat.
and we know there were babies at the end of last season, so so it's going to be interesting to see. I seen somebody comment, on the pull post this weekend that we put out yesterday. They're not having to worry about the Kentucky piranhas. I don't think we're going to have to worry about the Kentucky piranhas very much with all the bass that, they were tearing them up last year. So,
It seemed like once those suckers came out, and I mean, they came out in droves.
Oh yeah, if you've seen one, you've seen like 5 together. I mean, they were out patrolling.
And the bluegill were hiding because they didn't want to be lunch.
Yeah, they did not want to end up as bass poo. So, all right, guys, it's that 9:00 hour. Thank you very much for tuning in with us. There's nothing more that we enjoy doing except for actually diving. But being able to sit here and talk diving with you guys here on Monday evenings. We've been doing this. This hard to believe. It's right at 6 years that we have been doing Monday Night Safety Stop.
What do we talk for 6 years?
Huh?
What do we talk about for 6 years?
One of these episodes we're gonna have to go back and just take clips from previous episodes and play them, and just do like a conglomeration of the last 6 years worth of shows. I think it would be fun to see the difference from then to now. So, JoJo's tired.
It's past my bedtime.
All right, guys. Well, we know you're not diving with us this weekend, but if you're diving, we hope you have a fun, safe, and adventurous diving weekend. And we will see you guys back here next Monday night. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow the channel. Also let you know whenever we come on live. In case you forget on Monday nights, we come live, it'll give you a ding letting you know, hey, they're live. So make sure you don't miss an episode and see what kind of shenanigans JoJo and I come up with. So, come on, Joe.
We'll be seeing. I guess we'll be seeing y'all next Monday night.
Next Monday night, right here on the Penny Royal Divers Group. I'm still stuck on trying to say that. Right here on our YouTube channel, Penny Royal Scuba. We'll catch you guys next Monday night. Y'all have a great week.